So game number 1 has started here between the two players. Clock there is correct. And we'll run down things. On Zan's side, 2 Reflector Mages, Mausoleum Wanderer, and Noble Hierarch. He has got the mana advantage on Abe Stein. It looks like he's had to pick up some creatures and put them back in his hand.
Yeah, so he's not really pulled ahead in the way of generating a bunch of large power flyers the way that he wants to, but he has used these Reflector Mages to really leverage tempo in his favor.
Yeah, I guess he hasn't even really generated spirits, so a Lord draw is not as strong as it would usually be here.
Right.
Abe's going to cast Meddling Mage. We'll get a name on that in just a second.
My guess is Collected Company.
Yeah, you would be guessing right.
And
on this board, it looks like the card that would do the most damage.
Right. And you see Zan's life total listed at 10 there. He's been casting these spells off of 2 Horizon Canopies, so really beating himself up.
Yeah, having to perhaps shock for a Hallowed Fountain, tap a bunch of Horizon Canopies. There's another Horizon Canopy. Zan down to 8.
Yikes.
At some point, this is going to matter.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely.
Abe's playing a Mantis Rider deck. Now here's Drogskull Captain. A great card generally when Bant Spirits has 5 creatures in play. It is still a good card here, but...
Yeah. It'll let him connect with the Wanderer for 3 here, but that's the first damage he'll be doing.
Yeah, swings in for 3. It also opens him up to a Mantis Rider. Make that 4 with Exalted.
Sure.
Stein to 16. Now, Stein has not been hitting land drops, noticeably.
Typically implies a fistful of spells. Unless he's, for some reason, really glutted on Ether Vials, this should be pretty good for him.
Really means he has his choice of creatures.
Right. Good chance that he would like to have additional mana, just given how many cards he has in hand, but Reflector Mage on the Drogskull Captain, just casting Mantis Rider, these plays are both pretty strong in this battlefield.
Yeah, a Mantis Rider swing would be for 4. It would be half of Zan's life total.
Right.
Looks like the strongest play here, if it's available. Outside of that, with only 3 mana, we're probably looking at 1 relevant card. Maybe a Phantasmal Image is okay, and a Fenza.
We know that Zan is not on main deck Path to Exiles. Not clear if Stein is fully aware of that. Zan does have an untapped Horizon Canopy here, which would give some pause to a Mantis Rider. And Kitesail Freebooter is the play.
And that will take the Collected Company that's already been maged. The last card is Rattle Chains.
Yeah, and because the Meddling Mage is on Collected Company, that Freebooter there, depending on what's in Stein's hand, it makes it seem like he's concerned about Path to Exile.
Yeah. Yeah, there'd be nothing else to take.
Right.
Zan will crack one of those Horizon Canopies, as after seeing Rattle Chains, Abe is not interested in any attacks here. I'm always impressed at how quick Bant can turn around on these boards, and we'll see what Zan can do. Down to 6. Yeah, those Horizon Canopies have added up for so much.
Right.
Yeah, Zan will go to 6 for a second Drogskull Captain.
All right, now his Spirit Squad, very powerful.
Mausoleum Wanderer cast. 2 spirits entering mean the Wanderer in play is a 5/5. It could attack all the way up to being a 6/6.
Yeah, and that attack is very inviting. If you hang back, you could hang back with 2 3/3 Wanderers to try to block a potential Exalted Mantis Rider. But I think Zan really just needs to start looking at closing the game.
Yeah, this swing will be a 5/5 and a 3/3. Now, it looks like that's the one that Syed's going to go for.
Yeah. A little more damage, and you're not going to block a Mantis Rider with a Drogskull Captain anyway, so this attack does seem good.
Swing for 8.
Stein thinking about tossing the Freebooter in front of that 5/5. The Meddling Mage is still covering Collected Company. And if there's another creature that's attacking for more than that down the line, it probably means that Stein has bigger problems as there will be more Lords on the battlefield.
Yeah, so he decides to take the full attack. He drops down to 8. And quick draw for the turn. Vials up to 1. Looks like his pickup for the turn was Anafenza. With so many flyers, I'm not sure how relevant that card is.
Yeah, that one's not going to play here. It also just gets chump blocked by the Reflector Mage or double blocked by Double Mage if it tries to be aggressive.
Mantis Rider the play for Abe Stein. And a swinging on Mantis Rider. That was the play. It'll exalt up to a 4/4.
Zan has to be careful here because 2 of his 4 mana sources are Horizon Canopy.
Yeah.
Good chance he's interested in chumping away the Mausoleum Wanderer.
He has a pair of 3/3s here. So he's either chumping away the Mausoleum Wanderer or he's trading it for the Drogskull Captain.
I suppose Humans isn't really going to be targeting his creatures, and the double block gets that flying blocker out of the way.
Right.
It takes some power off the table for Zan.
Yeah, it seems like a close choice. And he could also take 4.
If he had another Lord or a Phantasmal Image in hand, once he double blocks, then he'd be untapping with 3 flying attackers that are all at base 2/2. It's a freebooter that could get in the way. I guess a Lord would only get him to 7. It would double pump the Wanderer and single pump the Captain. So it'd be a little bit shy.
And he decides on the trade. So 1 Lord down, but the Mantis Rider trades for the Drogskull Captain. And we'll go back over to Zan's side. Currently, both Wanderers are 2/2s. The Drogskull Captain's a 2/2.
Lord Reflector Mage would be lethal from here.
Yeah, well, actually,
Spirit Reflector Mage.
Yeah, and Abe knows that Rattle Chains is in the hand. So a full attack here means that Abe's going to block.
Right. Zan could start by cracking Horizon Canopy, but then he wouldn't have mana left over to do 2 things.
And I like this swing for 6 from Syed.
Yeah, the freebooter just gets to chump block something.
And that's what's going to happen. We'll see if Zan wants to push any additional damage.
Seems kind of fruitless, and the Rattle Chains could defend against a Reflector Mage on the Drogskull Captain.
Love it. Yeah, so he just decides to deal the 4. Abe goes to 4. Zan gets that company back, though that's still under Meddling Mage.
Right.
Plays a land and passes. Cards in hand are Collected Company and Rattle Chains. Both players know it. So with perfect information, we'll see if Abe can put together 6 more points of damage. And the mana woes just seem to be what has caught up to him. Just, I think, still 5 cards in hand for Stein.
Yeah. With the Vial on 2, he's afforded a little bit more in terms of making game actions. Doesn't have good attacks on the ground. I mean, I guess it's a good attack in the sense that Zan can't meaningfully really block the champion, but he can chump block it anyway. Looks like there's another freebooter in the holding, and that one doesn't amount to really anything. You need to make 2 flyers if you want to block away this board.
Thalia, the play from Stein. That'll pump Champion to the Parish. But no blockers. Yeah, you could Vial one in. You'd make a freebooter to block. And you'd have to be able to Vial in another one.
Right.
And he'll play Thalia's Lieutenant, but unless he has a lethal attack to go with this Lieutenant, it feels like he's just dead on board then.
Yeah, he doesn't really have anything that can team up with that champion. Yeah, you send in the Meddling Mage, so Now it's a position where Zan could just put 2 Reflector Mages in front of the Meddling Mage, the Noble Hierarch in front of the Champion, and those blocks would free up the Collected Company in hand.
Yeah,
I suppose he would need 5 mana for it, and the Noble Hierarch would be traded away. This block's also good, just 2 chump blocks.
Yeah, I was looking to see if a Vileden Phantasmal Image would save him, but I don't think it does here.
Yeah, the Reflector Mage is traded away here, then Zan doesn't have to worry about Vileden Image copying a mage.
And he'll just make Rattlechain's end step just as an additional flyer.
Yeah, just 4 attackers, any combination of 2 is lethal.
Yeah, and that should do it. Zan's going to turn the team sideways. Going to send it to game 2.
Poker Face by Abe Stein.
I mean, a good poker face, but you can't, if you're going to bluff, you can't tap out
You
then.
should bluff a real card.
Yeah, I was like, I don't think your bluff represents anything.
Right.
I like bluffing in those kind of situations, especially in this kind of matchup.
Right. But yeah, just a little too far behind despite Zan dealing 14 damage to himself.
So we'll look at the sideboards. Actually, some different options here than we saw in the previous matchup. On the human side, they still have that Izzet Staticaster and Whirler Rogue, but this time we see 3 Auriok champions available. Is that something at all you're interested in here?
That creature is just kind of dumpy. You can gain some life, but you gain such a small amount of life when the matchup is about just compounding lords. The
Sure.
damage swings are too large to gain 1 life at a time to beat that. I do like the Dismember, though. You can just randomly hit a lord with that, and that could be a big swing.
I would love to remove a Spell Queller, given the option.
Yes.
Now, on Zan's side, he has some removal, actually. 2 Path to Exile and a Detention Sphere. Are any of those interesting in the matchup?
Path to Exile certainly is. Pushback against the human's aggression. It's pretty strong.
Sphere costs a lot, but could be great.
Sphere is slow, but fine. I don't hate it. Unlike our previous Sphere players, Zan does not have access to the worship, but we've kind of been talking about all the different ways Spirits has advantages in the matchup. I don't think he's missing it.
Yeah, from what we've seen so far, I'm not too concerned.
Right. Yeah, we have watched Spirits just win 3 games.
Yeah. Yeah, right. One of the reasons really that Spirits took off is early in the summer we were at a place where Humans was kind of consensusing as the best deck. And
Yes.
people were trying to play decks that beat Humans. We started seeing a lot of Colonnade, we started seeing a lot of Spirits, and actually Burn started experiencing an uptick as well. Spirits has stayed around ever since.
Yeah, Spirit's just pretty strong proactive shell that has just enough disruption. Mausoleum Wanderer and Spell Queller. Pretty powerful effects. Interact with a pretty wide range of things.
Yeah, it was. I mean, we'd seen it win opens before, Caleb Durward having taken down an open with Bant Spirits. To me, what really got on the map was that printing of Supreme Phantom in Corsat 19.
Yeah, it was an upgrade that showed up, and 2-mana lords are kind of more or less whatever. It's the price to play.
Yep.
But I mean, Merfolk has like 7 2-mana lords, and that deck is not good. So you see Supreme Phantom, you're like, does that really help you? The reason that Humans is so strong is you have all these disruptive elements. But kind of the thing about Spirits is there's just not that high of a volume of cards you can play. And it ended up being better than the worst ones. And it also just increased your clock pretty significantly.
Yeah, as we saw a lot of those 2-mana lords played. Elvish Clan Caller getting played as well. And the 1-3, actually 3 ending up being a pretty reasonable number in all these creature mirrors. Like, Supreme Phantom blocks.
Yes, once you control 2/4 is a pretty sizable body. Decks like Burn certainly have trouble attacking into 2/4s.
Now available for pre-order now, but shipping next week, are the Ravnica Guild Kits. If you haven't heard about these, they are products here, one for each of the 5 guilds from Guilds of Ravnica. They're pre-constructed decks made to battle against each other, featuring cards from all 3 of the Ravnica blocks. The Golgari deck, for example, having Abrupt Decay and Deathrite Shaman in it, as well as the Izoni leading the charge.
This is a format where Deathrite Shaman's legal. Guild kit,
Yeah, it's like the
guild kit battles.
Guild Kit constructed. You can play Deathrite Shaman.
These are vintage decks. What's your guild kit? Where's your allegiance?
I like Boros. I like playing Boros. Well, it depends. So in Constructed, I like decks that are full of nonsense. But when I play Limited, I like attacking with red cards and putting auras on them.
Yeah, I have a propensity for drafting Boros decks myself. It's just like the games go really quick, you know?
And you have to draft a lot of guild gates when you play Boros, though, I'd think. Otherwise, you'd have to register some really bad basics.
Yeah, you gotta value your gates highly to avoid putting planes in your deck.
Otherwise, yeah, you need like 7 gates and then 10 mountains, and you're like, good, we did it.
That's the ideal deck. Then you play whatever 2-drop still in the pack after you've taken your guild gate.
Favorite draft card out of Guilds of Ravnica's Candlelight Vigil. Way into that one.
Which one's that?
It's the 4-mana aura.
Oh,
3/2 in Vigilance.
I don't touch that one.
That's because, yeah, no one does. That's why I get them all.
My favorite is Generous Stray.
See, auras are great, but then I tell people that, and they're like, yeah, I love, like, blue cartouche that draws a card. I'm like, no, not the ones that draw cards.
Think worse.
Everybody likes those ones. I like the ones that are just stats.
I'm looking for a playable 14th pick.
Played the Team Limited GP. I boarded in 3 of them in a matchup. It was the Boros Mirror, so I boarded in 3. It was great.
Yeah, you go bigger.
I put it on had some guys with first strike. Yeah.
Sure.
Sometimes they kill it. That sucks. When they don't, you win. It's great. Either way, we're signing the match slip early. Collect a company named with Meddling Mage here on turn 2 for Abe Stein. That coupled with the Champion of the Parish hit in for 2.
Oh, we're done with your.
I'll talk about Candlelight Vigil as much as you want to. That card's great. When you put the second one on the same creature, that's when you really got him. Like play a Sky Knight Legionnaire, you hit him for 5, and like that was pretty funky. Next time you're like, how about 8? Just like, oh, okay.
What's happening in this game, Matthias?
Zan has taken a bunch of hits off creatures. He was able to trade a Rattle Chains with the Meddling Mage. But Mantis Rider and Champion hit him.
Yeah, that's a fine exchange, but yeah, life total, as you mentioned there, under pretty significant duress.
Look, he's got to hope Abe doesn't have Candlelight Vigil here.
That wouldn't increase the clock at all.
Yeah, but he wouldn't be able to block it anymore. How would he deal with us 6/5?
And Stein representing the ability to cast it as he does not have any Ancient Ziggurats yet.
Nice. Spellcaller takes care of the Phantasmal Image, but it is only a 2/3, so Abe will just crack in for 6 more. And Zan goes to 5.
Yeah, he's going to really want one of those sideboard Path to Exiles and some help on top of that.
Well, Candlelight Vigil would be good for Zan here, too. So then he could start
Make
attacking.
a better blocker.
And block. Yeah, he'd have a 5/5 Vigilance Flyer.
You really play into Reflector Mage with Candlelight Vigil, though.
Yeah, you play into everything with Candlelight Vigil. And when they don't have it, you win.
I guess they had it being literally anything.
If all it is more creatures, you're made. Okay.
What if it's Reflector Mage?
Well, yeah. I mean, that card's not in guilds, which is probably a good thing.
Yeah.
For Candlelight Vigil. Zan will try to defend up here with Selfless Spirit and Supreme Phantom. And Abe, Champion of the Parish, going to pump his champion up. Here is a Phantasmal Image. Let's see what he wants to copy. He's going to copy Mantis Rider. Make creatures even larger.
Attacks here are still a little awkward as the Selfless Spirit kind of gets a free block, and then you indestructible the rest of your team, and the Spell Queller represents a 3/4 blocker.
Right, so you could go to 1. You could block... Okay, I like this attack.
Yes.
If it was attack with all 3, Zan could have gone to 1 and made some trades. Now it's just going to be a favorable trade. It's either...
Right.
I guess it's just a chump block.
Yeah, this is going to eat something most likely.
It's as a 5/5... What would be ideal is if Zan could put everything in front of it, make his team indestructible, and trade, but it's only 4 power, so this is a straight chump block.
Yeah, the Phantom, just 1 power at its base.
Yeah, great attack.
I think Zan's thinking about a double block with Queller's Spirit. This frees up the Phantasmal Image, which just means there's another Mantis Rider for Stein, and
you think
not into that.
You think he's going to make this and then not sacrifice the Spirit? Actually just let them trade?
I guess he could be sacrificing it.
Well, what I like here, what Zan's doing is he's blocking with all three and seeing how Abe orders them. If Abe orders them in a way that Zan likes, then he may not sacrifice the Spirit. Worst case scenario, he just makes the same jump block.
Well, the way that he likes is that the Spell Queller doesn't die. So, given that, I would at least put the Spell Queller in the back of your line and force Stein to move it.
don't just show him the correct block.
All right. Would you like to maintain this order that is beneficial to you?
It's next level, Ryan. There's no way you put him in the right order.
Okay. Like Zan's actually not going for the Selfless Spirit, it looks like. He's just going to let the Queller die.
Well, yeah, but the Spellful Spirit won't die. It's just the Queller.
Sure, but now there's 3 Mantis Riders.
I mean, it's not great. Maybe he draws the Detention Sphere.
Ooh.
Right?
If he has that, then this is awesome.
How cool would that be? And he went for it. Okay, I'm going to tell you this. He didn't win, but he boarded it in, okay?
That looked like a peak for a miracle.
That's my read. Can he do it? Can he do it? No.
Okay, yeah. That's about the only thing he can draw to really recover. So now
That would have been
this
so
all
good.
does make sense.
And I like that. That's playing for an out.
Yeah, you're right.
How bad would you feel on the other side of it? Just, oh, man.
Yeah, that'd be really gross.
Now, Reflector Mage should take this one home for Abe Stein, and it does. We're going to send this one to Game 3.
So this time, Zan will be on the play. That changes the texture of getting beat up by a champion of the parish quite a lot.
Yeah, that's the scary part about the human side is they actually have these turn 1 champion of the parish draws. Bant doesn't do anything like that. Its best draw is a Noble Hierarch, and then starts making some threes.
Right. They can lead on Mausoleum Wanderer, which isn't really a champion of the parish.
It'd be like if instead of champion of the parish getting 1/1 counters, it was until end of turn.
Right.
Now, to be fair, as we did see in our last matchup, if Zan on the play has turn 1 Noble Hierarch, he really can bury his opponent in a pile of Spell Quellers.
Yeah, just exile all the creatures they try to cast.
Hit them with the 2/3s.
Right.
So there are some great draws that Zan can start the game with.
Yes. Even turn 1 Vial, that's pretty good in a deck like this. Plenty of really reasonable openers, and by virtue of being on the play, they get quite a lot better.
So just a few events remaining in 2018, but we have a half schedule for the first half of 2019. We know our opens, and you can find one near you. So in 2019, we'll go back, start our season in Columbus. We actually have a team constructed Modern Open, a little bit different than Team Unified, in that you and 2 friends can bring your Modern decks, whatever they are, and play them as a team. That's January 5th and 6th. We have an event in Worcester in January, taking a break, and then we have a team-constructed event in Indianapolis. That's Legacy, Modern, and Standard. Another team event over on the East Coast in Baltimore before we head to Dallas for Standard, and take a break, but our Legacy Open of the season is March 2nd and 3rd in Syracuse. After that, the tour rolls on with our regional championships, an Open in Philadelphia mid-March, Modern, followed by Team Constructed in Cincinnati. Early April, we'll have another Modern Open staying in the Ohio area, moving over to Cleveland before we go to Richmond for a Team Open, back to Syracuse for a Team Open, and ending the season with Louisville and our SCGCHAR Season 1 Invitational.
A lot of great stops. Really excited for that Team Modern tournament. Just 3 Modern decks, not following any unified rules. Team 12 Spell Snare, perhaps.
Yeah, that sounds great. No one
expects it.
No 2-mana card will be safe.
No one expects you to cast the 2nd or 3rd Spell Snare in your individual match, and no one expects the 5th Spell Snare from your team.
That's going to be really good against Scape Shift. Spell Snare is so good against Scape Shift. Every card in the deck costs 2.
Yes, you don't have to tell me. I have Spell Snared many Scape Shift players out of tournaments.
That's why I got to go back to play Eldrazi Tron. They don't even play any 2s.
Play Chalice of the Void. Play Mind Stone.
Some builds play Mind Stone.
That's true. It's not all of them.
They board in Spatial Contortion sometimes.
Sometimes your opponent is very generous and sporting and lets you Spell Snare their Walking Ballista.
Do you win when that happens?
I don't know, man. Not because of that.
Like, you can't have that Ballista for one. They'll be like, yeah, that's
All right.
that wasn't really what this was about.
I still have thought that see her into Smasher into Endbringer, so...
It's probably fine.
What else you got?
Abe Stein on a mulligan here. Zan has kept on 7.
And we'll see how quickly Zan can come out of the gates. Being happy with your 7 in a matchup that you're advantaged against a deck on a mulligan. Zan has to like his odds.
And here we go. On the play, Zan looks like he has one of his ones. It's going to be Noble Hierarch. Of Noble Hierarch, Aether Vial, and Wanderer, this feels to me like the most powerful one in this matchup.
Yeah, and just in general, the Spirits deck, because it's a collected company deck, the Hierarch's worth a bit more than Vial. In fact, Zan is playing 4 Vials, though typically you see a 4-3 split in favor of Hierarch over Vial in the deck.
To 17 goes Syed.
Part of the reason that Zan's playing 4 Vials is because he's playing Reflector Mage over Path to Exile, so he wants to have that extra mana, that sort of dark ritual into Reflector Mage effect. Ooh.
Miss on a second land drop, though, from Zan. Just makes Mausoleum Wanderer, and that should open the door for Abe Stein.
Yeah, that makes that Hierarch look a lot worse. If you can find his second land on the next turn, you can salvage it a little bit.
Yeah, but in a creature mirror like this, he doesn't have too many turns to recover.
Right. We'll see what Stein has. He didn't have a turn 1 Chalice, Vial, Noble Hierarch, nothing to start going.
Meddling Mage from Stein. I'm interested to see what he names here. I guess it doesn't really matter. It's going to... Ooh. Zan's going to path his own Wanderer.
I suppose he's got a handful of spells. He wasn't making land drops, so this will get him there. Kind of a funny choice on Stein's side. Frequently with the Meddling Mage, you're going to name Collected Company. With Zan missing a land drop, they might have named something different. Though this was a response to the Meddling Mage.
Right, he didn't want Path to Exile to be named.
Right. There's still interest in naming Collected Company now that you see 3 mana sources.
Yeah, if my opponent's willing to make this play, I feel like I want to name a 3 or 4 mana card.
Right.
And now that he's up to 3, it feels like you have to name Company.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what he does.
It's so hard. It's just the best card in the matchup. You can be clever and name Drogskull Captain.
No, it may not matter. Zan, he shuffle a Reflector Mage to the front of his hand, so it looks like he'll have him pick up the Mage. Gives Zan 1 turn to draw that land and play a Company before the Mage comes back.
Right, and Stein wasn't going to name Reflector Mage with the Meddling Mage because he plays them.
Right, it's a mutual effect.
Right.
Reflector Mage of his own. But his might pick up make Noble Hierarch go back. No, he'll pick up the Reflector Mage. There was some interest in the mana, wasn't there?
That is interesting. Slowing Zan down.
Does not hit the land. Draws Supreme Phantom for the turn. And Zan did have Company in his hand. Would have loved to have hit it there, but did not. And Abe's going to get that, or attempt to get that Meddling Mage back into play, but Zan will quell it away.
And no concern for a Path to Exile from the other side, though a Sideboard Dismember, that'll do it.
Yeah, it's that one of them. We talked about how good that would be against specifically Spell Queller. It's exactly what it does, and that's going to be back on Collected Company.
Mm-hmm. That 4 life, that's a cost, but Zan's not applying any pressure just yet.
It's like another Supreme Phantom from Syed. All sorts of cards in his hand. I don't know that he'll get to empty them in time. Actually, this Meddling Mage named Reflector Mage when it came back into play.
Stein must be out of them, and he knows that that's a card in Zan's hand, and he knows that Zan's been missing land drops.
Not the only one. Stein, with a few cards in hand himself, draws another Meddling Mage. Looks like he has Phantasmal Image, Kitesail Freebooter, Meddling Mage. Couple others. I think 5 cards total.
Really strong argument just to get the other Meddling Mage down and Collected Company on this turn.
Is that better than just freebooting it?
There could be 2.
Yeah. Looks like he'll actually go a more aggressive play. He'll play Phantasmal Image, bouncing Reflector Mage, and then attack in for 4, dropping Zan. Looks like to 11. Looks like we missed some points earlier. And Supreme Phantom, the only play Zan's able to make. Abraham Stein being rewarded for this aggressive take.
Yeah, just keeps missing that land drop. Not able to convert a Collected Company there.
Yeah, at some point, if Zan doesn't hit the land, it's just not going to matter. I mean, he kept a 1-lander. That second land was a result of him pathing his own creature.
Right. Yeah, pretty gross game for Zan here.
Mantis Rider from Stein, now just going to press the advantage. Full swing here. We have 7 crashing in. Zan drops to 4. Draw here, and that's still no land.
Gross.
Another Phantom and a pass.
So now the Phantoms kind of check the ground creatures. One of them can just get in front of the Meddling Mage and you can bounce something else.
Reflector Mage bouncing a blocker. I see 4 attackers and 2 blockers. That's going to do it. Abraham Stein picks up the win, and Zan just, you can tell the frustration here. 2 Collected Companies, 2 more Supreme Phantoms. He drew the entire play set of Phantom before hitting the land.